Welcome back, dear viewers. As we said earlier that we are going to talk about a very interesting topic, which is hypnosis or hypnotherapy. We'll try to shed light on it and to what extent it helps in developing the strength of characters and in healing our lives. And to shed more light on this issue, we are joined here in the studio with Mr. Robert Henry. He's a psychotherapist. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, good morning, and of course, welcome to Egypt.
Thank you very much.
Sir, the hypnosis process,
yes.
Many people doesn't know about it. It's a kind of therapy.
Yes, that's right.
So can you please explain more about this process?
Well, if you were to perceive the human mind as a house or an apartment with different rooms in it, hypnotherapists have a concept that there's a library. All of the information you've ever had in your life, and that this library is gauged in how stressful the event is or how safe it is. And we live our lives in the kitchen and the living room.
Yes.
And if you're in the kitchen and the living room, you can't change the books in the library. So, however, the library is influencing us all the time. When we approach a door, we know what a door is. We have all of that information there, and it's unconscious. We know what the door is. You know, you open it and you go through it. However, maybe when you were 4 years old, you jammed your finger in a blue door. You've forgotten this event, but it's also influencing you. So every time you want to do some interior decoration, you don't want the color blue. You don't know why. So what hypnotherapy is able to do is to take you to that part of the brain, which is the library, and then rearrange the books in a form which is more comfortable for you.
Yeah.
So what is the subconscious mind?
We regard the subconscious mind as the greater part of our intelligence, which knows everything. It knows every word that's ever been spoken, and certainly I have done regressions, taking people back, and they've known what's been happening from the womb. They can hear the conversations. They don't understand the words that are being spoken, but the feeling of those. However, it is possible to regress someone so that they can listen with their intelligence now to what is being told to them in the womb. So we know everything. We know everything. There are a lot of other people believe that this unconscious is in contact with others. It's the sort of internet, that the brain has an internet. That thing last night we were just talking about a French friend of mine, and I haven't spoken to him for ages. And when I looked at my phone, there was his name. Everyone's had this experience where you think about someone and suddenly a message comes through. You know. So
do you think there is a relation between these two things? When you think about someone, you suddenly find him in front of you?
Yes. I think
it's not a coincidence.
There's an internet between our brains. This is what we believe about the unconscious.
Yes.
So we think it's an incredibly powerful resource which very often is not being used. Or it has what we call pathogenic double binds. And this is, I love my mother, but she says cruel things to me. So I don't want to spend time with her. But I love her and I want to spend time with her. So this creates anxiety. And anxiety, in my opinion, is one of our greatest enemies. It's okay when you're young to have a bit of anxiety every so often, but continued anxiety threatens the body. So health and feeling peaceful, feeling confident, they're linked together. And hypnotherapy is able to make small adjustments within the person's own frame of reference and their own decision about who they are, and release them from these double binds, and then they feel they're calmer and more peaceful.
Sir, in our black and white movies, when we used to talk about the hypnosis, it shows the one who's making the hypnosis process is controlling the mind of this person, but what this movie shows that he make this person to do evil things, or he want him to do his orders. So is this true?
this is why for years in my practice in Harley Street in London, I never called myself a hypnotherapist. I have hypnotic skills, but I would call myself a therapist because there's so much negative influence about the word hypnosis,
so it's
about it being controlled.
Reputation for this. It's a worldwide reputation for the hypnosis.
Yes, and exacerbated by stage performance of hypnosis, which gets compliance from a certain number of people by doing certain things. And it's only certain people who want to perform that would do that. In fact, the mind is very well protected. And anybody who wants to do those kinds of things, like the Manchurian Candidate, the CIA and all of these people, they did experiment with it for a long time in the 1970s, and it was pretty unsuccessful. But they did have some success, but you would have to have someone night and day and turn their system of ethics upside down. We're very well protected. We have our ethics, we have our own sense of self and our consciousness, and that it cannot be controlled.
So can I heal myself using self-hypnosis?
Yes, I would say that. I like to substitute the word self-hypnosis and meditation. So the difference, I think, probably is that meditation is just about resting and emptying the mind and going into repose. Self-hypnosis is useful. You can use it to achieve things. I've worked with people, one of my most successful clients, she had 9 bolts on her door when I first met her. She suffered from terrific anxiety about the outside world. She never believed that she could have a husband. She never believed that she could really have a career that she enjoyed. And so we worked from that point, and we released the anxiety, which really were messages coming from her father. She, step by step, has worked, and I coached her over the years. She's now an international movie director. She's won a BAFTA in Britain, and she's probably about to win an Oscar with her next film. So she gradually made those steps, step by step, and set goals. She said, this is what I want to do. And so we worked to achieve that. And all achievements are a process. If you want to boil an egg, you know that you need a pan, some water, and some fire, and then you complete the steps. But you have in your mind the goal, and this is very important. It's about focus. There's the goal, you focus on the goal, you then deliver it into your mind in a part that feels safe. Safety and the goal are attached to each other. Now, what you can observe about human beings is that they avoid pain, whether it's psychological pain or it's physiological pain, and they go towards safety. So the unconscious mind can be enlisted as the most wonderful helper if you associate your goal with a feeling of safety. And the hypnotherapist, what he is able to do, or she, many hypnotherapists are women, is able to make a feeling of safety in the body, bring the blood pressure down, and also alter brain activity from the front of the brain here, which has limited capacity. They say it's 5% of our capacity. Whether it is or not, I don't know. But then activity flows round to here, where you have the mainframe of this magnificent biocomputer.
Sir, of course, every patient is different. You have a different cases every time, and of course, it varies the problems and what they suffer from. So what are the basics that you start your session with any patient?
For me, it's to find out all I can, to empty myself, to become serving the client. I like to call them clients because it makes us more equal. A patient sort of implies that there's something wrong with them. So I call them clients. I empty myself and then learn everything I can. I'll be watching their eyes, the way their eyes are moving, how they're sensing their world, when their body moves, when they say a particular thing.
Yes.
If their eyes look down, I know that they're looking for a feeling. And so I will learn everything I can with a kind of super consciousness. And then I'll ask them to set the goal, what it is they want to achieve by working with me. If I think I can achieve it with them, I will agree to the goal. And it has to be measurable. You have to know when it's happening. And then I will suggest, if I think I can achieve that goal, based on what I've heard, I will then set a series of sessions. But probably, basically, it will be 3 sessions and a checkup. Yeah. And you're right that people have a lot invested in their sense of self. So they will sometimes cling on to anger and fear because it's part of their sense of self. And these are people that will not let go of it so quickly. And this is how the mind is protected. Some people are so fed up with the results of this thing that they're experiencing that they want to fix it really quickly. Other people, I can remember I had someone who suffered from anorexia. She was starving herself, and we were making fantastic progress. And on the 3rd session, she came to see me and she said, I don't want to carry on anymore, Robert, because it's working and I'm starting to eat. And I don't believe that my husband will pay attention to me or love me in the same way. I don't believe I'll get the same attention from my parents if I don't have my anorexia. So using it, all behaviors there useful. And what could I do if I couldn't see her anymore? So that was a failure. But maybe that happened, maybe when I was less experienced, about sort of 20 years ago. I think I might have been able to handle it a bit better now. But there's a key to everyone. If you can enter into their frame of reference and their internal logic. Now, this is not the logic that you have, a conscious logic, but this is the internal logic. So her conscious logic was saying, well, of course I want to eat and be healthy and live. But our unconscious logic was saying, you need attention. You need to keep being a child. And this is behavior that will control others around you.
So you are trying to penetrate the subconscious of people to know the motivation behind their problems.
To learn what the unconscious logic is, and then to go in and alter it. Is to just make new attachments, healthier attachments.
Is it true that hypnosis can reduce pain?
Yes, because human beings have the ability not to notice things. When I was telling you the story about the lady with anorexia, you forgot that you were here in the studio and you were looking in your own mind for references to that. As soon as we pay attention to things, they become more important in our mind. So we have the ability to forget things, and we narrow down our perception because we don't want too much information coming in. All of the information is coming in at another level and can be retrieved if you are in an altered state of consciousness, but it's not useful. So we have the ability to negatively hallucinate things. When you're saying in the morning, where are my car keys? Where are my car keys? And you have them in your hand, which we've all experienced.
That all the time.
That's negative hallucination. And so pain can also be negatively hallucinated. And there are various ways of doing this. Numbness, we understand. When you go to the dentist, he gives you an injection and he numbs. So we all understand that numbness, we have an experience of it. Now, us in the cold northern climes, most childhood experience of numbness is to do with snow. The child goes into the snow and it starts playing with the snow with bare hands. And it's so occupied and so focused, the child doesn't recognize that it's losing. So we use this memory of numbness to put numbness into the physical body. And then the phenomena is that you can travel it around. So you can have it in the hand, and then you can travel the sensation of numbness to maybe a part of the body. The Spanish are famous for doing hip replacements with hypnosis.
Sir, of course, every client comes to you. I'll say they are clients, as you said.
Yes, clients. Yeah.
They have lots of depression. They see the world as ugly and lots of dullness in their word, and everything, they see everything is black.
Yes.
So every time you receive a client, of course you received a huge amount of negative energy. So do you believe at a certain point you need to go to a therapist?
I've certainly been to therapists myself,
Really?
but not because of my clients, because of my own internal stuff and my life experience.
Yeah.
I became a therapist because I suffered shock myself, and I became interested in it, and that made me compassionate towards other people who had suffered shocks. But to go back to depression, which is a very interesting subject, the psychiatrist, the medical model, will tell you that depression is a disease. So, we don't believe that. We believe that we're carrying the most amazing biocomputer, which doesn't go wrong, unless, of course, you put chemicals into it, or you hit it with a hammer, or it bleeds. But it doesn't go wrong. It's only as good as the program it's being given. Now, people are given double-blind programs by their school teachers, their families, power figures, and they can't move out of that. That causes anxiety. Now, anxiety is a constant output of adrenaline and sugars. It's a catabolic process. And this was meant to be sustained when we were in physical danger. However, most dangers today are imagined, and continually being stressed will have physiological consequences on your immune system, etc. So this computer, in its beautiful design, has developed depression. And as you said, it's just a black, non-feeling anything. So it switches off the mind. It will say, we've had enough of this, we need to rest. Switch off everything. So the person is then...
This is how you treat an anxiety.
They're resting. They're not anxious anymore. They don't care up or down. They're just in a suspended state. They don't care if it's good or bad. There's no such thing as good or bad. They're in a suspended state. And yes, it feels like blackness. This is resting. And what happens is all the adrenal glands, they all repair themselves, and the chemistry gets back together again. And then the brain says, okay, it's time to switch on again. So it goes, switch on. And then they start thinking in the same double-blind negative way, and they switch off. So they call this bipolar syndrome. Of course, what we do is we go in, alter the program, and then they have no need to be anxious and no need to be depressed.
So it's a program or a way of life?
Well, the program determines the way of life. My sense is that we have this drama going on with conflicts inside ourselves, and we project this into outside lives. How often I see people whose outside lives are reflecting the internal drama. You know, they go to work and there's the jealous sister, you know, and they treat her as the jealous sister, and then they might be the critical parent, etc.
Okay, Mr. Robert Henry is psychotherapist. Thank you for being with us today.
It's a great pleasure, and it's a great pleasure to be in Egypt.
Thank you, sir, and welcome once again to Egypt, sir.
Thank you very much
indeed.
You.
And
now we're moving to a quick break with having fun, so please stay tuned.